What is up, guys? It is Jed Wrestling here, back again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at some of my first ever WWE action figures that I ever got. We're going to go through quite a lot today. First and foremost, I want to talk about how I got into WWE. I got into WWE and wrestling more broadly when me and my dad just turned it on one night, and I wasn't hooked fully like right away. It took me until like the next year, like 2015, to fully get into it. That's around the time where I started watching like every show week to week. Started just really liking wrestling, getting on YouTube, watching some older clips, stuff like that. And it's also around that time where I got into the action figures. I got these two that you see in front of you for Christmas, and then since then I just haven't been able to stop collecting. I have hundreds and hundreds of action figures. I have an entire shelf like multiple shelves throughout my room dedicated to them, as I've documented it throughout my channel. But here today, we're going to look at my first ever WWE action figures first. John Cena and Roman Reigns. These were both, I believe, best of 2014 basics. I could be wrong, but this Cena in particular is based off of WrestleMania 30, and that just happens to be one of my favorite attires John Cena has ever worn. It does get some hate, but I feel like this is a really underrated gear from Cena. Just the lime green, just so cool. Just reminds me of when he was feuding with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family and all that. Super nostalgic Cena gear. And this Roman is based off of his days in the Shield. You can see that he has the Shield like strap vest on. These figures are a little scuffed up. Obviously, I've had them for I think like almost 10 years at this point, which is pretty crazy to think. But those are my first two WWE action figures that I ever got, and it's pretty crazy because without those two, I wouldn't have any of my other action figures. So that's pretty crazy to think about. In January of 2014, CM Punk walked out of WWE, left, not to return until nearly 10 years later in November of 2023. Obviously, I said I started watching WWE in late 2014, early 2015, so I never really got to experience much of CM Punk live, or really basically any of CM Punk until he went to AEW. But as far as like YouTube clips, getting on the WWE Network at the time and watching CM Punk's matches, I thought he was really cool. I absolutely loved CM Punk, and I loved this figure. I don't know how I found it, but it was like a year after he had walked out, I'm pretty sure. And I just walked into a Toys R Us and found this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want this. Ended up getting it. This CM Punk is super classic, super cool. My only CM Punk, which definitely will change with time, but it's still really cool. I think this is based off some sort of Money in the Bank show, and it's a little scuffed up, obviously, just like all the rest of the figures, basically. So I won't be pointing that out for every single one. But that CM Punk is still really really cool, and yeah, it was my first ever Elite that I ever got. Here's Seth Rollins. I believed I picked this up in like a Walmart many years ago, and obviously you can tell that it's a more vintage basic because he's got the head sculpt which looks really old, and the blonde highlights they definitely do better these days. It's just like basically half of his hair and half of his hair is yellow, and they definitely do them better nowadays. But as far as like for the time, I really enjoyed this Seth Rollins, and it's like my first Shield Seth Rollins that I own, and I probably won't be getting the new Greatest Hits one because I would want a more classic Shield Seth Rollins with a head sculpt more in line with this. So maybe I'll get the previous Greatest Hits, who knows? But I do definitely want to track down a Shield Seth Rollins Elite. Here's The Undertaker. This was in a battle pack with a Shawn Michaels that I don't actually have next to me to like grab and then show. But this was the first Undertaker figure I ever got. Decals on the side actually look pretty fresh. I like those. Not sure if they ever did it in an Elite. I'm sure they did because there was a lot of Undertaker Elites back then, but he's got the overalls. This was like one of the last times he wore like the singlet and then the tights. He switched to the baggy pants soon after. This is when he faced Brock Lesnar. WrestleMania 30. Yeah, pretty cool head sculpt on that. He's got a different color of beard than his hair, which I think is accurate. Some cool molding on the gloves. And yeah, that is my first Undertaker figure. And you can't have The Undertaker without his brother, Kane. This was the first Kane figure I ever got. Something with a lot of the vintage Kane figures. The heads used to scuff up quite a bit around the nose and mouth area. So you can see it kind of looks like he's got a bloody nose going on. He's got the red on his face. But I was really excited to get this. This was like one of my favorite figures when I originally got it, and he's got like the stitching design, the fire going down his left leg. Really classic attire for Kane. Really cool. The glove, the elbow pads, just really, really cool. And this is one that I used to use a lot. Is this cane? Arm is really loose. Probably one of the loosest sets of arms I have in my collection. That's pretty crazy. Here's Dolph Ziggler. This is one I picked up in Target. Basically all of these are my first ever figures of the character. So like I said with the scuffage, I won't be pointing that out for every single figure. But this Dolph Ziggler is really cool, man. I'll be straight up. This is really cool. Silver design on the trunks looks really nice with the pink on the back, like on the side, like the pink design, and then the zipper on the front. He's got the extra large knee pads, the white boots with the black straps. Really fresh looking attire on this Ziggler, and this is one that I don't think they ever did in an Elite, so that's pretty cool. It's Rusev Day. We got Rusev. I probably could have carried that on for longer, but we got Rusev. This was before he was Rusev Day, before he was Miro, obviously. He was like the Bulgarian brute Rusev. He's got the Bulgaria logo on the side. He's got the Russian flag colors on the waist of the trunks. Really cool back tattoo, and he also has the chest hair, which they didn't include a lot on the basics and still don't these days. He's got the tape on the feet, which he eventually started wearing boots. But for like this time, he wore like tape on his feet, similar to how Solo Sikoa used to. He switched to boots. But the Rusev, this came in a battle pack with Lana, and it's pretty cool, pretty bulky figure, pretty imposing. There's Rusev. I've been waiting to detail this on the channel for a long time. Here's Randy Orton. This is the Champions Kmart exclusive Randy Orton series figure, and he did originally come with a belt, as you can see, but I ended up losing that belt, and it's a real shame because I have like every original belt in my collection, and it would be like I just never lost one. But of course, I lost one with this Randy Orton. I don't even know where it is. It might not even be like in my home anymore. Truthfully, I don't know where it is. But one day maybe get another copy for a good price somewhere where I can find it. But yeah, I doubt I would ever find that. But Randy Orton, he's got a broken hand. Uh, this is a pretty sad figure, as you can tell. Pretty sad looking Randy Orton. But it's still very classic, and it's still one that I enjoyed using a lot because Randy was one of my favorites. Speaking of my favorites, when I first started watching WWE, my absolute favorite tag team was the Usos. I would always get so pumped up when they came out. I would always do the dance. Like I loved their music. I used to play it a lot on YouTube. I still do to this day, if I'm being totally honest with you. And I just thought their look was so cool. Like you had the face paint on opposite sides of their face, so you can put them together like that. You got like the shorts in so many different colors, the shirts in so many different colors. The Usos were just so awesome back then. They're still awesome, obviously, but like in my opinion, nothing beats this form of the Usos. I mean, they were my absolute favorite tag team. And don't worry, I will be getting the new Greatest Hits Usos. Those look absolutely sick. I'm going to be comparing them to the original basics, which is not what they're based off of. They're based off the Elite 31 Usos, but I'm still going to be getting those, reviewing them on the channel, which I'm very excited about. Here's the Big Show. This was his. I don't know if I've ever showed this on the channel before, but I don't actually have a Big Show Elite, but I have two Big Show basics. One of them being blue camo on the side. He's got the blue arrows going up. Pretty cool. A lot of tattoos going throughout. This one's a little scuffed, but yeah, very big figure. Smiley face Big Show. Did this when he was a face feuding against the Authority. But then at Survivor Series 2014, he actually sold out to the Authority, joined their team, left Team Cena, and that was also the night where Dolph Ziggler was the sole survivor. Everybody thought he would be used after that, and they were sadly mistaken. Here is Sheamus. This is a pretty cool Sheamus figure. I do like the gear a lot. This is one I always thought they could have done in an Elite with the orange gear. We never saw an orange gear Sheamus. I just thought it really fit. It looked really cool. He's got the head sculpt, which is pretty scuffed up top, and like the hair and all that. But it still holds up, still pretty cool. I used to enjoy the Sheamus figure a lot, and I actually got it on the same day as that big show. I actually went into a Walmart and got those. Next figure I'm going to be showing here is Sin Cara. This is my only Sin Cara figure. It's the Then Now Forever basic, and he did come with the blue and gold mask that matches the one he has on his head. He used to I think he used to like put this on other people as like a that's to like blind them or something, make them not be able to see. So that's pretty interesting. And he's also got the blue, gold, and red design going throughout. Pretty clean. I like the red boots. I do want the Elite 15 Sin Cara really badly. I heard that his figures are really cool. So I do want to get some Sin Caras in hand, feel them out, get them into the collection. I think that would be really, really cool. Here's Daniel Bryan, one of my favorites from back then. He is, I believe, unfortunately retired. After the Death Riders attacked him after John Moxley won the belt, so that's pretty unfortunate. But Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, he'll always be one of my favorites of all time. And this figure is definitely cool attire wise. He's got the flames, like the gray and black flames going over the red. Really cool. I think the size definitely captures Daniel Bryan as well to put next to the rest of your figures because he's pretty short, especially compared to Sheamus. I think that's accurate. Here is the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. You got Brock Lesnar, who's not really on WWE these days. Unfortunately, I do miss Brock Lesnar, but I hope to see him back soon. Once all this stuff settles. But Brock Lesnar, this was his original basic screaming facial expression, which I thought was pretty underrated on the Brock Lesnar figures because he does a lot of screaming, right? And he's got the shorts with one Lesnar logo on the side and then a Lesnar logo on the back. All the tattoo detail, pretty cool. Lesnar. I do prefer the newer age like elites and ultimate editions, but like for the time, especially like when you're young and you have the figures, like you don't really care like if it's an elite or a basic. You just want something to use in the ring. So these were definitely useful in that regard. Here is Bray Wyatt. Obviously, R.I.P. to Bray Wyatt. Anytime that the Wyatts were on TV, the Wyatt family, I was always so captivated. They were just so eerie, so creepy, so interesting, and just a really cool faction. One of my favorite factions of all time. I also do have Eric Rowan and then Luke Harper to pair up with this Bray Wyatt. R.I.P. to Luke Harper as well. And Eric Rowan did recently return to WWE to be in like the Wyatt Six, so that's pretty cool. I'm happy to see Eric Rowan back in WWE, especially to pay tribute to his two fallen friends, Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt. But yes, I'm happy to have those three figures as a trio in this video. Here's the big guy Ryback, another one of my favorites from back then, believe it or not. Ryback, I think he's a tad overhated. I think he was always pretty cool, and this gear's really cool too. Like the green with the I didn't know what decals were back then. Like I didn't know. I wasn't aware of like decals. Like nowadays, you see like the Mattel figures when they have like crazy designs. It's more visible that they just put like the decals, right? But back then I didn't know that, so I'm like, how did they paint all this? Because I thought they like hand painted the figures. I'm like, how do they paint all this? Like that looks amazing. But yes, here's Ryback WrestleMania 29 gear, the big guy. Elite 36 Gold Dust coming in hot, and you can't have 2015 Gold Dust without 2015 Cody Rhodes, aka Stardust. Gold Dust and Stardust, they were a pretty fun tag team when they were around. They won the tag team titles. They had some fun matches. I liked Stardust and Gold Dust. I thought they were funny. I thought they were fun. And Stardust, Cody Rhodes did eventually leave WWE to go to AEW. Then he left AEW, come back to WWE to finish his story. I don't think I would like to see Goldust, aka Dustin Rhodes, back in WWE to possibly do something with Cody Rhodes, but I doubt that's gonna happen anytime soon, especially since Dustin is in like AEW and he's also in Ring of Honor. He's holding like two belts, I believe, in Ring of Honor right now, which is pretty crazy. But it would be cool to see him back in WWE, especially so we can get Goldust figures again. I referenced how I had lost my first ever WWE championship that I got. And then I picked up this. Here's the then now forever Sheamus. This was like my updated Sheamus, and he did come with the WWE championship, which is the basic matte version, but it does have some paint on it, which I think is pretty cool. But there's yet another Sheamus. You got AJ Styles. Of course he debuted at Royal Rumble 2016, and young me had no idea who AJ Styles was, but I immediately like him. I immediately liked him. I immediately thought he was phenomenal, if you know what I'm saying. And AJ Styles, he is currently injured. He has a foot injury, which I'm starting to think is not actually a work. I'm starting to think he's injured because he's been off for quite a long time. So I unfortunately think AJ Styles is indeed injured. Best of wishes to him. Got the Signature Series Dean Ambrose, which I did put on as my least favorite figure in my collection on a recent short that I did. And then this one, you got this one. This is much better. This basic Dean Ambrose, this came in the Ambrose Asylum. I never understood how this figure came. Like, look at how this figure came. It looks like his neck bones are showing through because like it's like cracked around his neck. I can only assume like that was when they were putting the head sculpt on. But I just never understood why that was the case. That's how it was when I got it. And you can also see their first attempt at pinless elbows. They had they had like the elbows that made it look like there was some sort of swivel in the forearms, but there was not. Looks pretty weird, but I definitely think this basic Dean Ambrose is better than this one, especially with like the head sculpt and all that. You got the Bunny. This is a figure I've had for a while, as well as this Adam Rose. These two came in a battle pack. I don't think any part from this Bunny figure has ever been reused on like anything else. Like they put so many unique parts into this figure, and I do believe it was Justin Gabriel behind the Bunny costume, but it's still a really cool and unique figure. It's not something that you would see nowadays from Mattel. And this Adam Rose is pretty run of the mill, but the attire is pretty cool. It does say Rose on one side. On the other side, it says Adam. It's got the white lightning bolts. Then it says something going across the front. Not quite able to make out what that is. But a pretty cool battle pack. I liked that one when it came out. Here's Neville. I keep saying it, yet another one of my favorites from back then. He's got like that. I just thought like the high flyers were so cool. I loved Sin Cara. I loved Kalisto. I loved Neville. I just love the high flyers. I thought they were really cool. His hair is pretty scuffed up, and it looks like he's got some sort of blonde highlights. But he does have the purple trunks going on, as well as the purple boots and the gray knee pads, which you could use for multiple different customs. But yes, there is the man that Gravity forgot, Neville, and the man that WWE forgot too. Here is Enzo Amore. Speaking of Neville, the reason why Neville actually left, I think, was because of Enzo Amore and like his attitude backstage and everything. And Neville actually walked out of WWE after being asked to lose to Neville on Raw. But I mean, to Enzo on Raw. But here's Enzo. Then here's Big Cass. He's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that, according to Enzo Amore. Really cool design on the pants for Enzo. He's got like the leopard print and then some really cool tattoos going on the chest and the arms. Cool head sculpt. The ponytail did break off, unfortunately, but he's got Enzo Amore. Shoes are cool, and this big cast is also cool. It's got big cast on the front, got some buildings on the back. I can only assume those are from New York because he was a New Yorker. Of course, he's in AEW these days as the Bad Apple Big Bill. And I like to put him next to Chris Jericho because they have like the Learning Tree faction going on. This was disagree with me if you want, but this was my favorite figure for a very long time when I originally got it. This Tyler Breeze dude, this is so cool. Even today, like this is the then now forever Tyler Breeze. Let me just take the selfie stick out so you can get a closer look at this. He's got the blue, the silver, a literal cell phone in there, not removable. You can't use it like the Elite 102 Austin Theory, but it is in there. And then if you take this fur jacket off, which it is rubber unfortunately, but if you take it off, it's like really cool. You got all the sculpts on it on the out the hood. I need to throw this thing on vintage figure reviews. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see this figure on vintage figure reviews, but it's really cool. I love the light blue design. Articulation on the legs is really, really nice. I like the articulation a lot. Absolutely love this Tyler Breeze. Even still to this day, it was like my favorite figure back then. Here's Nikki Bella and hold on, Brie Bella. These were my two original women's figures. This was like my first women's figures I ever got. Back then I didn't collect like nearly as many women's figures as I do these days. But nowadays I get like mo most of the women's elites that come out in the main line. But back then it wasn't as much. But these were still really cool. Green design is cool. The Divas Championship on Nikki Bella is cool, even if I'm not a fan of that belt. And the Fearless hat is also cool. The accessories really tie that together. I think this Nikki Bella is probably better than any of her elites, if I'm being totally honest. Especially since all of them have like single jointed knees and all that. So it's basically like this is basically the equivalent to all of her elites. And the last two figures we will be showing today are Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam, and Rey Mysterio. Two different looking eras of figures, but the reason why I'm putting these together is because they actually came in a battle pack, and I really enjoyed these two figures when they came out. I like the yellow design on Rey. They did re-release it in Main Event Series 150 with a different head sculpt. I think that looks pretty good. But I like the original basics, man. Especially if they re-release like basics. I just think the original ones are cooler for whatever reason. They just look more classic. And this Rob Van Dam is pretty cool, similar to the Defining Moments, but he's got the white, black, and red design. He's got the logos going throughout. Really cool single design. That has been my vintage WWE action figure collection featuring most of my first ever WWE action figures that I ever got, like 2015 through to like 2016. I would say a little bit of 2014. Some of these came out as well. But yes, Jed Wrestling out.